The scene opens with Atnazo O'Connor, a hardworking mother returning home after a long day of cleaning toilets in a prestigious hotel. She is met with disdain from her daughter, At-Ir O'Connor, who expresses her disgust at Atnazo O'Connor's job and their living conditions. Atnazo O'Connor's heart aches as she reflects on the sacrifices she has made for At-Ir O'Connor's education and well-being. While At-Ir O'Connor compares her life to that of her wealthy friends, this scene captures the tension and emotional distance between mother and daughter, showcasing Atnazo O'Connor's dedication and At-Ir O'Connor's ingratitude. In this scene, At-Ir O'Connor packs her bags in a fit of anger, determined to leave her mother's house. She writes a heartbreaking letter to Atnazo O'Connor, expressing her disappointment and disdain for their life. At-Ir O'Connor's decision to move in with her father, whom she believes will provide her with the wealth and status she craves, is evident as she leaves the small house behind, excited for her new life. The scene emphasizes At-Ir O'Connor's stubbornness and her desire to escape poverty. At-Ir O'Connor is now living in her father's mansion, surrounded by luxury and wealth. She indulges in lavish meals and shows off her new lifestyle on social media. The scene highlights her transformation and newfound status as she enjoys the attention from friends who are drawn to her father's wealth. At-Ir O'Connor's happiness contrasts sharply with Atnazo O'Connor's struggles, showcasing the stark difference in their lives. Atnazo O'Connor is devastated as she reads Atnazo O'Connor's letter, realizing her daughter has abandoned her. The scene captures Atnazo O'Connor's emotional pain and memories of the sacrifices she made for At-Ir O'Connor. Tears stream down her face as she reflects on her struggles and the betrayal she feels. The scene emphasizes the depth of a mother's love and the heartbreak of being rejected by her child. Atnazo O'Connor arrives at the grand gate of At-Ir O'Connor's father's mansion, determined to find her daughter. She is met with harsh stares from the guards as she pleads to see At-Ir O'Connor. The scene captures Atnazo O'Connor's courage and desperation as she confronts the reality of her daughter's new life. At-Ir O'Connor eventually appears and the tension escalates as they confront each other, highlighting the emotional rift between them. Evelyn Carter sits in the back seat of a car, her excitement overshadowing her unease as they drive away from the city. The smooth roads transition into rough paths surrounded by towering trees, with darkness enveloping them. Evelyn Carter asks her father, Chief Afam Carter, where they are going, her voice filled with uncertainty. He reassures her that it's just a short trip. As they continue driving, the surroundings become increasingly desolate until they arrive at a lonely old house in the middle of nowhere. Inside the house, Evelyn Carter steps in and immediately feels a strange dizziness wash over her. She stumbles and grips the arm of a chair to steady herself, asking her father what is happening. Chief Afam Carter, Afam stands by, watching her as she falls into the chair, and everything suddenly goes black. The scene captures her confusion and fear as she loses consciousness. Evelyn Carter wakes up in her bed in her father's mansion, confused and trying to understand what happened the previous night. She searches for the black dress she wore but finds it missing. As she goes about her day, she indulges in lavish meals and flaunts her wealth on social media, but a sense of unease lingers. She begins to experience recurring nightmares of digging in the forest, feeling a strange force compelling her to dig. Adenif Afam confronts her father in his mansion, accusing him of wrongdoing. He remains unfazed and orders the guards to throw her out. Adenif Afam is dragged out of the mansion, feeling humiliated and discarded, realizing the cost of her choices. This scene captures her emotional turmoil as she reflects on her past decisions and her current state of despair. Adenif Afam wanders through the streets, her spirit broken. Once proud, she now walks with her head bowed, accompanied by a foul smell that repels others. People avoid her and children run away, leaving her feeling isolated and abandoned. This scene illustrates her fall from grace and the harsh reality of her new life on the streets. Adenif Afam arrives at her mother's house, knocking weakly on the door. A young man answers, revealing that her mother no longer lives there. Adenif Afam's heart sinks as she realizes her last hope is gone. This scene captures her despair and the realization of her isolation. Adenifa Fam struggles to survive on the streets, begging for food and enduring mockery. Her body is infested with flies and she is now a shadow of her former self. This scene highlights her transformation from a wealthy daughter to a destitute outcast. Adenifa Fem approaches the riverbank, contemplating ending her life. Instead, she encounters a blind woman weeping bitterly. The woman's cries resonate with Adenifa Fem, leading her to reflect on her own suffering. This pivotal moment marks a turning point for Adenifa Fem as she begins to understand the value of life. Elle wakes up in her mother's house, filled with emotion and confusion after a troubling dream. She stumbles out of her small room into the living space, realizing she has never left her mother. Elle's hands tremble as she reaches for an old wooden table, reflecting on her past actions and the pain of rejection. Just then, Nazo enters, carrying a small bag of food. She gently greets Elle, who is overwhelmed with emotion. Elle drops to her knees, pleading for forgiveness, expressing regret for her past behavior. Nazo, shocked but loving, reassures Elle that she has always been loved. The two embrace, with Elle vowing to cherish her mother and never take her love for granted again. This scene captures the essence of reconciliation and emotional growth.